Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. The commodities renaissance is here. Gold is reasserting its role as a safe haven and a growth asset during times of geopolitical uncertainty. The resource universe is expanding, and top-tier junior miners are stepping up to the plate and meeting the global demand for gold, silver, and base metals too. So to help put the vast investment opportunities into perspective, today I'll be speaking with Mr. Ralph Shearing, CEO of Altalay Mining Corp. Mr. Shearing, welcome to Looking at the Markets, sir.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Speaking of opportunities, I mean, gold is doing great. Recently hit 2,000 before pulling back and giving us all another opportunity to get in case we wanted it. Silver, very similar. Commodities like oil, natural gas, uranium, lumber, and wheat have already had their moonshots, so to speak, breakouts. So when are gold, silver, and the base metals going to get their turn? What do you think?
Well, it's a great question. I would say base metals are already on their way. Base metals have responded very well over the past several months. In fact, some of them are at record highs. Copper, nickel, zinc for us. So we're a zinc producer. We've got a very, very good price in zinc these days. And the precious metals, it's an interesting commodity these days because although they perform fairly well, they have not broken out. If you look at the way the world works in interest high environments, strife around the world, gold should perform very, very well. So I would step out there and say, I believe gold and silver are about ready to have a really good run.
Yeah, totally agree. And what's going to help is, I believe, inflation. A nearly 8% annualized U.S. CPI inflation print. It's bad news for people who just hoard dollars or any fiat currency, I think. So is the inflation problem, in your opinion, likely to get worse? And how can investors protect themselves in 2022?
Well, I think that it's going to get worse. I mean, I can't see it getting better right now with the situation going on in Europe. The commodities or inflation everywhere is on the rise. Oil prices on the rise. Everything is going up. So the best place to be in those types of environments is precious metals, gold. Get into gold and protect your assets. As you say, you have money in a bank, you're hoarding dollars, the value is just going down. And all the money printing that the governments are doing, the same thing there. They're devaluing the dollar all the time by printing more money. So inflation, money printing, it's the time to be in precious metals, without question.
Yeah, as Ray Dalio once famously said, cash is trash. And there's nothing like gold, but also silver and the base metals, copper, lead, zinc, and so on. And why are these, I don't even like calling them base metals because they're so essential. Why are zinc, lead, copper, and so on so important now?
Well, copper, any of the electric metals are hugely important with the way the world is going towards green energy, sort of trying to get themselves off fossil fuels more into electrical powered vehicles. I mean, the amount of copper that's going to be consumed throughout the world over the coming years is enormous. And the supply is just not meeting that demand or will not be able to meet that demand. So that's going to mean higher prices. It'll make more projects become economic and more copper projects will come on stream. If you look at the more meat and potatoes things like what I call them zinc. Zinc is an industrial metal. It's used heavily in galvanizing for iron products, etc. And with the infrastructure upgrades that have been announced in the US as well as other parts of the world, zinc has got a very good future. Add this to the complications in Russia these days where there is going to be a deficit of supply coming out of Russia because no one's going to be buying it anymore. I think that the commodities, metal commodities, are a perfect place to be these days. I think that you're safe. You're going to increase your money if you get invested in this sector.
Now, I want people to visit, I'll put a link in the description below this video, altalaymining.com, because we're talking about zinc, we're talking about copper, lead, gold, And Altalay Mining Corp is a Canadian company, but you have resource projects containing all those minerals in Mexico. Why Mexico? What makes it such a great jurisdiction for gold and base metals as well?
Well, several reasons Mexico. Mexico is a very strong mining country. They're actually the number one silver producer in the world. They produce the most silver. They go back and forth with Peru, but I think Mexico is generally on top as the highest silver producer in the world. It's got a very good mining culture. It's lots of very trained mining people. So getting new people for your projects, equipment for your projects is quite easy in Mexico. And it's quite an underexplored country as far as metals goes. I mean, a lot of foreign investment has gone into Mexico over the past 15 years, and it will continue to increase. But Mexico is underexplored, and it's a very vast, rich metal producing country. The Sierra Madre Mountains alone are deposits all through the Sierra Madre Mountains, and they're excellent projects, primarily base metals with precious metals.
And if people want to get exposure to the prospective resources in Mexico, they can take a look at Altalay shares on the OTCQX market in the United States, ticker symbol ATLYF, and in Canada on the TSXV market ATLY. And I understand you have two highly prospective, high potential resources in the heart of mineral country Mexico. Can you tell us a little bit about those two projects?
Yeah, so we have one producing mine, and I'll show you where they are. And these photos here, or this image here, we have our producing mine, Campo Morado, down in the state of Guerrero in Mexico. This mine is the sixth largest zinc producer in Mexico at this point in time, and we've been producing there successfully. We are making between $2 to $3 million EBITDA monthly out of that project. Our revenue in the Q4 of last year, 2021, was about $19 million. So this is a lucrative project, especially in these high-priced metals environment. And we have a lot of things going on at Campo Morado where we are expecting to increase our revenue. Right now, we're producing a copper and a zinc concentrate that contain precious metals, but we're going to be starting to produce a copper concentrate. Sorry, I think we're producing now a zinc and a lead concentrate, but we will soon be producing a copper concentrate. Over the next couple of months, we're gearing up the mill to start producing copper as well. So that's going to increase our revenue. And then we have a pathway to increase our precious metal recovery substantially, potentially up to by 400% increases in the recoveries of gold and 200% increases in silver. A lot of this information is available on our website to look at if anyone wants to get into it and look at it in more detail. But Campo Morado is a lucrative project right now. Our cost, all-in sustaining costs, are about 87 cents per pound of zinc equivalent production. And the price of zinc these days is like $1.70 per pound. So we're doing very well there. Bring in our second project, Tabahueto, up in northwestern Durango. This is a gold project, and it's in construction. And in fact, we're only a couple weeks away of getting our first ball mill turning to start producing lead and zinc concentrate with a very high content of precious metals. This is primarily a gold project. It'll produce about I think it's like 65% of the revenue from this project will be gold. Then it'll be silver and lead, zinc, and copper as well. So we're a polymetallic producer with one mine now, and imminent 2 mines will be in production just in the next several weeks, starting initial production. So we're very well poised to do very well in the current market and into the future as we can expand these projects. Both of the projects have great exploration potential. We believe we can expand them by getting drills turning again, bringing in new resources and reserves, and potentially Tabahueto double or triple the size of that over the next 2 to 5 years, and potentially double the size of Campo Morado. Again, it takes exploration success, but the targets are there, and it should come along very easily.
Now, I understand that at the Tabahueto gold mine project, the construction is nearing completion, but what are the results of that project's pre-feasibility study?
Yeah, so let me just show you a couple things here. There's the economics of the pre-feasibility study we just released. So this was an dated pre-feasibility study. Our first pre-feas was in 2017 at a 550 ton per day mining facility. And the economics were really good. It gave us a 21-year mine life. So we underestimated the quality of the project at that time. And now we've brought in a new pre-feasibility study, which seems a little crazy because we're going into production. But in order to actually talk about the economics, we have to publish technical reports. It's the regulator's rules up here in Canada. So the one we just released, shown here, financial metrics, on a post-tax basis, this mine should produce about $186 million US dollars throughout its life of mine at 1,000 tons per day. All-in sustaining costs about $844 per gold equivalent ounce. So this is a low-cost producer. We're going to do very well. It's a bit of a cash cow, I would say, at this mine. Post-tax net present value at a 5% discount, and we use a 5% discount because the mine is almost built. $110 million net present value. EBITDA, $246 million throughout the life of mine. That's around $24 million EBITDA annually coming out of this mine. And it's got an IRR of 45%, and we'll pay back everything in 2.5 years. And that's just from Tabaweto. And remember, we'll be producing and doing $2 to $3 million of EBITDA from Campo Morado as well on a monthly basis.
Wow. So let me get this straight. All-in sustaining costs, $844 per gold equivalent ounce?
Correct.
That is low. That is incredible. I mean, talk about, wow, what a great way to get into the gold market through shares. Fantastic. And would it be fair to say, based on that and other factors, that Altily's current market capitalization is really much lower than the intrinsic value of its total assets? I think so.
Yeah, very much so. And you know, there's a number of different reasons for that. But you know, I've got a slide here that can really show people the valuation of our company in relation to our peers. Let me just find it here. All right, so this is a enterprise value over EBITDA ratio. These are Mexican polymetallic producers over here, and they're averaging about 11.5 ratio. Altily is down here at 1.6, and we're here because you know we haven't hugely marketed. We have a bit of debt that we're about $36 million worth of debt, which we're going to be paid back in 2.5 years once Tabaweto comes in production. So a number of different things that may have contributed to our low valuation. But look at the room we've got to grow just as a polymetallic producer to get to our peers in Mexico. And if you looked at the junior gold producers in Mexico, well, they average about, that's 4.5, and we're sitting down at 1.6. So again, both, if you relate us to precious metals or to polymetallic producers, we have a lot of room to grow our company. And I believe once Tabaweto is in production, and as I said, half production, we'll start one ball mill in the next several weeks. And then Q2 of this year, we're going to install the second ball mill. And by mid this year, Q3, we'll be ramping up to full production at around 1,000 tons per day. So 2 mines in production, making excellent profit at both of them.
Yeah, wow. Very cheap compared to intrinsic value and the peers in the mining sector or the resource sector. Now, I wanted to get back to base metals with Campo Morado project. Those preliminary revenue and other results at Campo Morado were really better than expected. What were the latest highlights at Campo Morado?
Campo has done an excellent job of making money for us. I thought I had a slide here that shows that. Just one sec. I'm sure it's here somewhere. No, it's not in there. But anyways, so Campo in Q4 of 2021 produced $19 million of net revenue. We had our cash costs down to about 87 cents, all-in sustaining costs, 87 cents per pound of zinc equivalent. So, you know, zinc at $1.70. So we're making almost $1 per pound of zinc right now. Metal prices have gone up, so the project is performing very, very well. And as I mentioned earlier, we're bringing on some copper production. We should be producing a copper concentrate here in the next couple of months, adding another revenue source. And we also have an existing tailings facility that has a lot of metal in it. This photo here shows this existing tailings facility that's no longer being used, but there's about 3.4 million tons of tailings in there. And this has, we calculated from our daily historic production reports that this thing has about 280,000 ounces of gold equivalent with just gold and silver. And we're exploring ways of trying to recover that metal by going to a forced oxidation and leaching. Sorry about that. And if we're successful, then we'll have a way to reprocess this and get a lot of the gold content back out of those tailings. Be very low cost, just a regrind of the tailings and putting it through the process. So this has gone through first phase testing very successfully. It showed up to 400% increase in gold recoveries, 200% increase in silver recoveries. So hopefully mid this year, we'll have all this testing completed, and we'll have a pathway to increase the precious metal recoveries, which would really impact the bottom line of this project.
Yeah, wow. Now, great mining companies typically have a tightly held share structure. This is something I look for. How much of Altily's stock shares are controlled by management and insiders, and who are some of the prominent shareholders?
We have a very good structure. We have about 60% controlled by management, control group, and insiders. Some of our institutional holders, there's several funds out of New York. They're smaller funds, but they own significant positions. Sprott Global from the US owns a position in our company, 2.7 million shares or so. One of our big holders is Trafigura. Our off-taker is a shareholder of our company as well. So we've got some pretty good names as shareholders, and we continue to get outreach going. We're going to be marketing a lot heavier once Tawato's in production, and we expect to be increasing our shareholder base with a lot of more institutions. The other thing that's on the horizon is we will be seeking a TSX listing. We're right now a TSX venture. So after Tawato starts up throughout the rest of this year, maybe mid this year, we will try to graduate the company up to the TSX Venture Exchange. And then hopefully next year, we'll be looking at a US listing on a more senior market.
Very nice. But for the time being, in the US, OTCQX market, ATLYF, on the TSXV exchange in Canada, ATLY, currently available. And I want people to check out this pretty amazing investor presentation at altilymining.com. Link is in the description below this video. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to show us anything else in this presentation, in this investor deck, that you'd like to really highlight for anybody who might be interested in getting into gold, silver, and especially base metals. Because it's not like, see, with gold, silver, you can have the bullion easily enough. But, what are you going to do? Have a bunch of copper and lead in your house, okay? In a safety deposit box in your house? Not so easy. So the shares are a great way to do it. So what did you want to focus on today?
Yeah, I chuckled at your comment there because, everybody's house has a lot of copper in it if they know it or not, for all of the metal throughout the power lines. But anyways, looking at, I guess I'd like to point out our exploration potential of both our projects. I mean, it's quite vast. And this is a slide that really quickly brings it into focus. This is our Tawato project. This is a district scale mineralized system. We have only explored along this red line, and all of our resources and reserves are along that red line. All of these yellow lines are other structures that are mineralized, and we have to start looking at them. And this is all covered by younger rock over here. I believe all of these structures will continue to be repeated over in this area and here. So on a long-term basis, this is a lot of exploration targets, a lot of potential to bring in new resources and reserve, expand the life of this mine, as well as the size of this mine. To put this into perspective, from this river up to the northern part is about 7.5 kilometers in distance. So it gives you an idea of the scale of this project. And then equally, on Campo Morado, we have a similar type of situation. This slide shows all the ore bodies we know right now. This one above shows a lot of borehole geophysical anomalies that suggest that below our existing ore bodies, there's a lot of ore yet to be drilled off. In fact, the previous owners drilled some holes here and intersected thick sections of massive sulfide. We have to drill those out, and likely we will discover new ore bodies below here. And then if you look at a property scale basis, that slide I just showed you, all of those ore bodies we know in Campo Morado are here in this blue ellipse. And these are all more property scale regional targets that are geophysical targets, geochemical targets that are there. We know they're there. We just have to locate them and drill test them. Any one of these could bring in new massive sulfide ore bodies to feed this mill on a long-term basis. So not only are we producing, making good money, we're very stable. The future of this company, just on these two projects, is quite enormous. And it's a matter of getting the exploration going again and starting to bring new resources and reserves into the company to justify expansions.
One stock, one company, but diversified holdings in multiple minerals, that is gold, silver, and base metals. So important. People forget the base metals. They shouldn't, because I think they're going to go up substantially, in my opinion. Been speaking with Mr. Ralph Schering, CEO of Altali Mining Corp. Check out altalimining.com. Links in the description below this video. Go there as soon as you're done watching this. Thank you, sir, for coming on to Looking at the Markets. We'll have to have you back very soon.
Anytime. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure.